Good morning. This is Angela with today's cup of tea. More and more, we're all waking up. There's so many that are coming to the conclusion I am ready to change. I am ready to get rid of this muck. I'm ready to get rid of that which doesn't serve me. And so many times, people start that way. Many of us start that way, and we just don't know where to start. And I get that question a lot. I have this and this and this and I just don't know what to start. There's so many things I don't know, and I always say, well, start with something. Start with one thing. I always come back to that metaphor that I talk about with the kitchen counter. You know, when you have a kitchen counter that's just full of junk, and you have papers and half empty glasses and this and that and whatever all over the counter, and something spills, it gets over all of these other things. And then many times you're like, well, okay, so now this affected this, and now this ruined this piece of mail, and this ruined this, and I need to save this, and oh, this glass broken. And you see how it's all like intertwined. And many times, sometimes when something happens, though, you don't even know where it started because you had so much muck there to begin with. That's where I see it. It seems so clear when someone asks me, where do I start? Because that's what it feels like to me. Is up here's the kitchen counter, and here's the thing: the more we can clear off the kitchen counter, the more we do things one at a time, and just start taking off one thing at a time, clearing it up, put it where it needs to go, changing it so we can move forward. The cleaner it becomes, so that when something does spill or there is a mishap on the counter, that it doesn't affect other things, and then it's easy to clear up and forget about. That's really how we are inside. That's how we are spiritually. And all of this stuff, I mean, just think of this, thousands and thousands of years that we have done this incredible job at letting the ego rule us, letting us experience, the perception of separation, the perception of ego-driven emotions, such as, fear, anxieties, regrets, rejections, resentments, and anger. And how many times we and how much we've just sort of forgotten how to come back to our self and our true nature. So where do we start? And I always tell somebody, well, find one thing, pick one thing. And you know what? And then many times if they say, well, where would you suggest? Or, what would be typical, or what would be the easiest thing? And what I usually say is, one of the best places to start is, anyone who knows me will know, is to quiet the chatter, to quiet the mind, and get to the point of meditation of some sort, consciousness, just consciousness of your thoughts, consciousness of what's coming into you, with the quiet of letting the ego hush down and let the clarity come through. So that's based out of a lot of things. Now, I'm sure many of us, actually most of us at this point, have seen in popular culture, they talk about presence and being in the now. Eckhart Tolle did a wonderful book. I think it was in like 2000 or late 1990s and maybe early 2000s. It was called The Power of Now. And when I first read it, I had to do it in the car, like an audio on a CD. So because I just couldn't read it and it couldn't keep my attention at the time. That's where I was. So the key of what he was talking about is to be able to step back and separate ourselves from that chatter and just observe with peace and clarity and calmness and see and understand what's going on. And I took a workshop that somebody did that was around what Eckhart Tolle was talking about in his book, and I was like, wow, I get it now. It was like really amazing, but I wasn't ready to really apply it. And I've gone through the past 3 years of some serious work, daily work on myself. And as I work on others, it also reflects on working on myself as well. So what is more and more important is that whole power of the moment, the power of being right here, right now. And if we go back to the basics, the simple basics of quieting the mind, clearing out the chatter, and listening to the stillness within, just being, even not even listening to the higher self. I mean, yes, you are going to listen to the higher self and being able to do that, but the first step is really hearing the stillness, feeling it, and being right here in the moment. All that matters now, all that is going on right this second. And does that really, cause does that really cause the need for whatever anxieties or fears or anger and resentments and regrets and rejections and all that chatter going on in our heads? Like 99% of the time, no. We waste so much time in our anxiety, in our projections of the future, in our regrets and resentments of the past, that we forget about right this moment. And we forget many times about how full we can make every single moment. And the more full we can make every single moment, the more we are free to enjoy it, the more we can free up our mind and our presence. When we quiet that chatter and get rid of all that anxiety, we get rid of all that projection, we get rid of all that fear and all that dwelling and everything else, and we live right now, in today, in this moment, between you and me, we are here right now together. So, and when you can do that, it calms you down so incredibly, in such an incredibly huge way, that it just becomes a way, like the more you do that, the more you enjoy doing that, the more you enjoy being there, because then you realize, wow, what if I just worried about something as I came to it? And yes, and I'm not saying to forget about the future altogether. You know, when we regret or resent things that happened in the past, that's because we haven't released them yet. We haven't processed the lesson. We haven't been able to let it go. When we're worried about the future, what we're doing many times is because of, we are worrying about the future because of what we have seen others do, what we have seen in the past. So again, you're forgetting about right now. What if we changed it right now? What if we decided right now to be happy and joyous and to be at peace and in love with ourselves? That's a lot of times that's step one. We spend so much time projecting things that others have told us to think, that others have taught us to believe about ourselves and about others, that we forget where we are right now. You know, it's funny because I've seen a lot lately the symbol of the spider, which in shamanic and earth-based traditions, the spider has a really powerful message, and it's all about weaving the past and the future together for today's story, right now, the story right in this moment, and just collecting it up in the highest and best way and making it where you are right this moment. I have gone from being completely triple type triple A, and to being so in the moment of, okay, well, I'm going to get guidance and I'm going to know it's going to work out. I know it's going to work out exactly the way it's supposed to work out. And it's fun to do that. You know why? Because you can let go of the anxieties. You can let go of the fears and the doubts and everything else. And the more you do that, and the more you have a positive situation come up from that, the more that validates that practice, so that you become more and more you come more and more into trust. You trust your higher self, you trust yourself, you trust Creator, you trust the universe, and say, all right, I'm putting it out there. Now that's when you come to the point of, I see my personal legend, I see what I want to become, I see what I'm working towards, I see what I am here to do, and that's what I'm working towards. And now I can trust. I can let go of the reins, let go of what I perceive, my ego perceives as control, and say, okay, Creator, my higher self, the universe, okay, I am a crucial part. We are all a crucial part of all of this wonderful, beautiful, magnificent symphony that's going on in all these changes today. And knowing that we signed up for that, knowing that we planned that, let it go and let it happen. And the more we do that, the happier and more joyous and magnificent it can become. The more flexible, and the more we go with the flow and we become fluid to things, the more beautiful they become and magnificent, because then we allow things to happen in the highest and best way. Now, of course, I always talk about my biggest set of reins is just that it has to happen without trauma, harm, and illness, and all with the grace and ease and all those positive things. So, but that's just coming back to where to start, how to be in the now. So the clearing for today is just that, remembering how to be right here in the present. So would you like all of the following without trauma, drama, or illness, without creating or recreating a situation for illustration or experience, and all with ease, grace, balance, harmony, joy, fun, excitement, adventure, bliss, and humor? Would you like to have this for all versions of you, all timelines, all places, into the ever-expanding universe, to infinity and beyond? Would you like all the information from this clearing and this download to come via instantaneous and comprehensive download with fully conscious understanding in the moment version and timeline from which it is requested? And also, would you like to have all of Creator's truths and understandings, perspectives, discernments, definitions that come through with this clearing to become yours, to replace yours and become yours for divine alignment? Would you like, now moving forward into this, would you like to have Creator bring forward all experiences that you've had, this life and all lives, that have shown you to forget about the moment, to project fear and anxiety, to have the ego take over, and lose the moment in thinking about the future and the past too much? Would you like to bring all those situations forward and get Creator's truth and understanding on that, the discernment and perspective of what happened, the perception versus the truth? And would you like to bring forward any unfinished lessons regarding that, regarding having to forget about the moment, to having to sacrifice the now, to worry and project and use time and use your experience to project and worry about the future and think about the past and forget about where you are right now? And anything that is unresolved, would you like to have Creator resolve, dissolve, clear and release it, right off as complete in the Akashic Records? And then would you like to pull all beliefs that came from those situations about losing the moment, about having to worry, about that you are in more control if you worry about things or if you think about them incessantly? And to get Creator's perspective versus the truth on that. To pull all fears, anxieties, regrets, rejections, resentments, and anger that are related. And would you then also like to pull the memory and energy of that from the cellular level? Pull the related self-limiting thoughts, words, and actions from the cellular level. Transform them to Creator's lights and back to Creator. Close those receptors and open new ones. Saturate the cells with the highest vibration of Creator's unconditional love. And download the feelings and knowledge and memory, remembrance of how to be right here in this moment, right now, at all times. How to make the most of that. How that can affect you in a positive way. And to get all of Creator's teachings on that. And the feelings of being able to do that. And the knowledge of how to do that in your life. And then would you like to also know that you're worthy, deserving, and able to. That it's possible, allowed, okay, and safe to. That you're ready, willing, and able to. And you have that in your life right now. And then would you like to heal, resolve, and clear the timelines in all directions to infinity with the violet and platinum flames? And would you like to offer to all ancestors and descendants as they so choose to accept? If you would like that, take a deep breath, clear your mind, be open to receive, and say yes in the moment. And that's it. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful spring day. I will speak to you next week. This is Angela with Today's a Cup of Tea.